The tribunal ship arrived like a shadow that swallowed light. It was larger than any vessel in the human fleet, a floating fortress of dark metal and glowing blue lines. The station trembled as it locked into position above the docking ring. Every species in the sector knew of this ship. It was called the Resolute, a mobile court created for situations where normal laws were not enough, when crimes crossed moral boundaries no civilization dared to ignore. When the docking clamps engaged, every alien in the station stepped back, as if they feared the ship could sense their thoughts. Inside the tribunal ship, the chambers lit up, thousands of human officers prepared for the proceedings, legal drones hovered silently, holoprojectors activated, data screens flickered to life, everything moved with mechanical precision and emotionless purpose. The Marines escorted the Heckler officer across a long metal walkway leading into the Resolute. Each step he took echoed through the station, each echo reminded him of the mistake that now defined his fate. He looked around desperately. Please, let me speak to my ambassador again. I beg. But the Marines did not respond. They were trained for situations like this, calm, cold, neutral. They did not show anger because they did not need to. Their presence alone carried enough weight to crush mountains. When the officer entered the tribunal hall, he froze. The room was enormous, lit with blue light, with towering pillars showing the symbols of human law and justice. At the center stood a raised circular platform, the accused place, surrounded by observation rings, where representatives of other species watched silently. In the highest ring sat the human judges, 3 of them, wearing dark uniforms with silver crests, their eyes stern, ancient, and unyielding. A hush fell across the chamber. Commander Raylon Ward stepped forward, his voice calm. Proceed. The holoscreen activated, showing the recording of the incident again. The moment Mira was struck, frame by frame, slow enough that every detail burned into the mind of everyone watching. The Heckler officer trembled violently. I did not intend. One human judge raised his hand slightly. Speak only when you are given permission. The officer fell silent instantly, the severity of those words chilling him deeper than any blade. A human forensic officer stepped forward, placing Myra's medical scan onto the holographic panel. It showed the bruise on her face, the projected force of the impact, and the recorded audio of her cry. Many alien representatives lowered their eyes, unable to watch the suffering of a child. The human judge spoke again, his voice steady and sharp. This case is classified under Section 1 of the Terran Child Protection Mandate. Do you know what this means? The officer swallowed. It means I harmed a minor. It means, the judge corrected, leaning slightly forward, that your actions are considered a crime against the entire human race. A wave of whispers spread across the observation rings. Some species bowed their heads from pure respect, others from fear. The second judge activated additional footage. It showed Mira taking careful steps in the market, smiling, looking around with innocent wonder moments before she was struck. The judge looked at the officer. Do you see her? Yes, the officer whispered, his voice trembling. Do you see that she was not a threat? Yes. Do you see that she did nothing wrong? Yes. The third judge finally spoke, her voice soft yet sharper than a blade. Then explain why your arm struck her with enough force to throw her to the ground. The officer broke down, falling to his knees. I was angry. I was stressed. I did not think. That, the judge replied, is the problem. A silence heavier than gravity filled the chamber. The human judges turned their attention to the ambassador of the Heckler Dominion. He bowed deeply, his voice shaking. We accept responsibility, and we beg for mercy, for our officer, for our people. Commander Ward stepped forward again. Humanity does not seek revenge, he said, his voice deep and calm. We seek justice. He pointed at the holoscreen showing Myra's small, hurt face. This child's pain cannot be undone, but it can be answered. The main judge stood, signaling the final decision was about to be given. All holoscreens dimmed, all lights focused on the circle, the air tightened like a held breath. By the authority of the Terran Tribunal, under the Child Protection Mandate, we declare the accused guilty of assaulting a human minor. Aliens across the chamber gasped. The judge continued, sentence will be executed immediately, and the Heckler Dominion will comply with the reparations and regulations that follow. The officer shook violently, tears streaming down his face. Please, please. But the humans did not waver. The law was the law. Marines stepped forward, not with cruelty, but with solemn duty, placing the officer into a containment field, as bright blue energy wrapped around him like chains made of light. The chamber filled with the final words of the judge, echoing across the galaxy through thousands of broadcast channels. Let this judgment be a reminder. In the eyes of humanity, every child is protected, and no one escapes accountability. Outside, the human fleet shifted once more, preparing for the final stage of their justice. And the entire sector held its breath, knowing the humans were not done yet. When the tribunal's sentence was delivered, the shock traveled through the sector like a wave of silent thunder. Species across distant stars paused their work, their meals, their conversations, just to listen to the echo of human justice. No one dared to speak loudly, no one dared to question it. Inside the central market hub, the atmosphere shifted again, but this time, it wasn't fear that filled the air, it was something different, heavier, older, a feeling that humanity had brought with them, a kind of respect that came from understanding exactly what the humans valued most. The Marines escorted the convicted Heckler officer through the docking corridor, the containment field glowing around him. Each step he took was swallowed by the hum of the tribunal ship waiting outside. The officer whispered broken pleas, but they vanished into the metal walls like fading smoke. At the same time, diplomats from other species hurried to meet Commander Raylon Ward, their voices shaking with urgency. "Commander, please, what will happen next?" one representative asked. "What of the Dominion?" another whispered, "are they to be punished as well?" Commander Ward stood straight, his face controlled and unreadable. "Earth does not punish entire species for one individual," he said calmly. "But the Dominion will face consequences for allowing untrained officers to operate in shared environments." The Heckler ambassador bowed deeply, his voice trembling. "We accept this, Commander, we will comply fully." Commander Ward nodded. "You will issue a formal apology to the human people, you will implement safety protocols approved by Terran specialists, and you will submit a sector-wide broadcast acknowledging responsibility." The ambassador swallowed hard and agreed. Outside, the human fleet formed a protective formation around the station, not a threatening one now, but a guardian ring, ships repositioning with flawless precision, looking less like weapons and more like shields. The message was clear. Humanity was not here to destroy. Humanity was here to protect. Inside the medical bay, Mira lay on a soft bed, her cheek cleaned and bandaged, gentle machines monitoring her breathing, her small hands wrapped around a glowing toy butterfly placed beside her pillow. Her father, Aaron Hale, sat at her side, holding her hand, his face calm but tired, the weight of the day finally settling on his shoulders. A nurse, an alien with soft blue skin, approached quietly. "She is safe now, your child will recover completely." Aaron nodded, whispering a soft thank you. Mira blinked awake, her voice soft. "Daddy, are the scary ships gone?" Aaron smiled gently, brushing her hair back. "They will leave soon, little star, they only came because you were hurt." Mira frowned slightly. "All of them came for me." He nodded again, his voice steady. "Yes, because you are human, and to us, every child matters." She held his hand tighter and closed her eyes again, finally feeling safe. Meanwhile, in the tribunal ship, the final stage of the judgment played out. The officer was transferred into a correctional facility designed by Terrans, a place not for torture, but for understanding the gravity of what he had done, a place where every wall reminded him of the pain he caused. The recording of Mira being struck was archived in the Terran Justice Network, labeled as a Level 1 offense case, to be studied, remembered, and used to prevent future harm across the galaxy. Soon after, the humans initiated the biggest broadcast in the sector's recent history. Every screen, every device, every public holopanel lit up with the face of Commander Ward, his voice calm and firm. To all species of the Orion sector, he began, "Let today be a lesson that humanity holds its children as sacred." The camera shifted to show a soft image of Mira sleeping safely in the medical bay, her toy butterfly glowing beside her. No harm to a human minor will ever be ignored, the commander continued, no injury forgotten, no injustice allowed to pass. Across thousands of worlds, billions watched silently, some with fear, some with respect, some with awe. And let the galaxy remember, the commander said, his voice echoing, humanity does not come with hatred, but with duty. He ended the broadcast with words that would later become a proverb repeated across star systems. You may fear many things in this galaxy, but fear nothing more than a deathworlder protecting their young. After the broadcast, the fleet began to withdraw, silently returning to formation, engines whispering like distant storms, each ship leaving a trail of blue light behind it. Inside the station, aliens watched them go with relief and deep respect, many bowed their heads, others whispered blessings, some simply stared in awe as the giants vanished into the stars. The Heckler ambassador approached Aaron once more before leaving. We are sorry, he said softly, his voice full of sincere remorse, we will change. I promise you this. Aaron only nodded, holding Mira close. Make sure no child is ever harmed again, he said quietly. The ambassador bowed deeply and left, carrying the weight of his entire species on his shoulders. When the last human ship disappeared into FTL, peace finally returned to the sector, but it was a different peace, a stronger peace, one built from understanding, respect, and fear of the limits humanity would cross for their young. In the days that followed, every species updated their laws, every station upgraded safety protocols, every government taught the same rule in every academy. Never harm a human child. Never forget what humanity will do. Never underestimate a deathworlder's love. And in this new, silent promise, the sector moved forward, forever changed by one small moment in a busy market. A single strike. A single cry. A single child. That shook an entire galaxy. The galaxy had always watched Earth from a distance, waiting, judging, and sometimes fearing, but no one ever believed humans would rise so fast, not the Council, not the old empires, not the ancient races who had seen hundreds of civilizations burn and fall. They all thought humans needed at least 5 more centuries before they became a true threat. But they were wrong, very wrong. It began on a quiet morning inside the Sol system, when a shockwave ripped through space like a giant invisible storm. It was felt by satellites, mining colonies, starships, and even deep space listening posts at the edge of Council territory. The wave did not harm anything, but it carried a message, a warning, a heartbeat of power that no one expected from Earth. Admiral Karen of the Valari Council was the first to receive the encrypted data. His eyes widened when he saw the readings. This cannot be from humans, he whispered, but the numbers did not lie. A single weapon test from Earth had generated more energy than the Council's entire frontier fleet firing at once. And worse, the source was a railgun, a technology humans were already known for, but this one was different. This one broke every law the Council believed in. The aliens gathered in the Council chamber, arguing, panicking, shouting over each other. They had mocked humanity for decades, calling them reckless deathworlders with dangerous ideas. Now the same reckless species had made something that could shake the galaxy. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Arya Holt stood inside the Titan research facility, watching the giant magnetic rails cool down after the test. Her team cheered, but she didn't smile. She knew the galaxy was listening. This was just the first shot, she said quietly. They will come now. At the same time, rumors exploded across alien space. Smugglers whispered about bright blue beams tearing through asteroids like butter. Miners claimed they saw Earth ships carrying new weapons glowing with strange energy. Scouts reported that human ships were moving faster, as if space itself was helping them. For the first time, the Council felt fear. They sent 3 covert spy ships to observe Earth, but all 3 vanished. No wreckage, no distress call, no trace. It was as if they were swallowed by the void. Council scientists studied the last transmission from the spies. It was a short, broken message, full of static, but 4 words were clear. They upgraded everything, run. The fear inside the Council turned into panic. They called an emergency meeting across the stars. Representatives from 17 alien races gathered. Their voices trembled as they discussed the problem. Humanity was no longer a rising power, they were becoming something far more dangerous, something unpredictable, something unstoppable. And yet, the Council did not know the full truth. The railgun upgrade was only the beginning. While aliens were panicking, humans were working silently on something even bigger, something they called Project Gatewalker. Project Gatewalker was hidden beneath the surface of the moon, a network of reactors, quantum chambers, and teleport rings hummed with strange blue light. Engineers wore protective suits because the energy distorted gravity around them. Commander Arya stood before the glowing machine, knowing that if this worked, Earth would gain not just power, but absolute freedom. No one could block them, no one could stop them, no one could control them again. But she also knew the Council would never allow humanity to rise without a fight. Far away on the planet Xyrath, Council leader Vrax pounded his fist on the table. Humans must stop these upgrades, he declared. If they refuse, we will take action. But even he could hear the fear in his own voice. The Council had power, but it was old power, slow power, political power. Earth had something different, raw technological force that evolved faster than any alien expected. And now there were signs of another shockwave forming around the moon, a strange distortion in gravity, something that made hyperspace sensors flicker, something that frightened even the bravest captains. Council scouts recorded a massive energy signature. Their computers struggled to identify it, but one word appeared again and again in the data. Teleportation. Teleportation was a forbidden dream across the galaxy, a technology the Council tried to create for thousands of years and failed every time. If humans mastered it, the balance of power would break forever. Admiral Karen sent a final message to the Council: if Earth finishes this upgrade, we lose the galaxy. But it was already too late. The moon glowed with blue rings as Project Gatewalker activated. A shockwave spread across space, but this one was silent, clean, elegant, controlled. Every alien sensor lit up at the same time, exploding with warning alarms. Humans had done it, they had mastered teleportation, and they were not hiding it anymore. They wanted the galaxy to see. Commander Arya stared into the shimmering portal, knowing that this moment would change history. The Council would panic, armies would move, fleets would gather, but Earth was ready, stronger than ever, united like never before. The galaxy always saw humans as dangerous deathworlders, but now that danger had become something else, a force capable of shaking empires, breaking chains, and rewriting destiny across the stars. And as the teleport gate roared with power, Arya whispered quietly, "This upgrade will change everything." The galaxy was about to learn what humanity truly was, and the Council was about to lose far more than control. They were about to lose the stars themselves. The Council had survived thousands of disasters, wars, invasions, plagues, rebellions, and collapses, but nothing in their long history had shaken them like the human upgrades. Their power depended on fear, but now they were the ones afraid. Deep inside the Central Council Hall on the planet Averon, 12 alien leaders gathered around a floating hologram of the moon. The blue teleport rings pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Each pulse made their chest tighten. Leader Vrax spoke first, his voice low: "If humans mastered teleportation, no border will protect us." The others nodded nervously. They knew he was right. Teleportation meant humans could appear anywhere, in any system, inside any base, inside any ship, without warning. "It is not teleportation we should fear," said Admiral Karen quietly, "it is what comes after." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the Council feared two things above all else: human creativity and human speed. Together they became unstoppable. Karen zoomed the hologram, showing the energy signature around the moon. "This is not a simple teleport ring," he explained. "This is a gateway, a system that moves entire ships." Gasps echoed in the chamber. Council members looked at each other with trembling eyes. If humans could teleport ships, they could destroy fleets before they moved. They could appear behind bases, they could bypass planetary shields. They would become the one thing the galaxy could never fight. Unpredictable. Leader Vrax slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot let this continue," he said. "We send a warning, one final warning." A message was drafted. It was diplomatic, polite on the surface, but full of threats beneath. The Council demanded that Earth stop all weapon development, shut down the teleport project, and give access to Council inspectors. They believed humans would fear the United Council fleet. They believed humans would surrender to pressure. They believed humans were reasonable enough to step back. But they had forgotten one thing. Humans do not kneel. The message reached Earth's orbital station within minutes. Commander Arya Holt read it silently. Her expression did not change, her eyes did not blink, she simply forwarded it to the Global Defense Command. The reply the Council received was short, calm, and terrifying. Do not test our patience. No explanations. No negotiations. No fear. The Council chamber exploded with noise, leaders screamed, shouted, argued, this is a declaration of war. One shouted, they challenge us, another said, they must be punished, others insisted. But Admiral Karen watched the message again and again, his scales twitched with anxiety. No, he said, this is not a challenge. It is a warning. Across Council space, fleets began to move, thousands of ships jumped toward human borders, the galaxy trembled under the sound of war engines activating, but none of the fleets felt confident, none of them felt strong. They all remembered the shockwave from the upgraded railgun, they all remembered the disappeared spy ships, they all remembered that no one knew the full power of Project Gatewalker yet. On Earth's border, the Council Armada appeared, a line of massive warships stretching across the stars like a metallic wall, their engines glowed red, their railguns pointed at human space, their shields pulsing with energy. From the bridge of the lead alien dreadnought, Captain Velker glared at the human territory. If they refuse, he said, we fire. But his sensors suddenly flickered, the stars blurred, space trembled like liquid, officers looked around in confusion. Is this hyperspace interference? No sir, it is coming from the moon. What kind of energy is this? Before they could answer, an even stranger disturbance hit the fleet. Gravity bent. Not enough to damage them, but enough to make every alien officer feel weightless for a moment. Admiral Karen received the data and froze. This is teleport energy, he whispered. But it is too strong, too stable, too focused. Back on Earth, Commander Arya watched the readings with calm eyes. Humans were ready, they did not move their ships, they did not raise their weapons, they simply stood silently, letting the aliens feel the strength gathering on the moon. The Council Armada began to panic, captains argued about retreating, generals shouted over comms, some ships even powered down their weapons in fear. Leader Vrax called the frontline commander, hold your line, he demanded, but his voice cracked. Inside the alien dreadnought, Captain Velker felt a cold dread, he sensed something no alien ever wanted to sense. Death World energy. A strange human signature that meant danger, violence, and determination all at once. Then, the dreadnought sensors detected something impossible, a small object appeared above the human border, it wasn't a ship, it wasn't a drone, it wasn't a missile. It was a human teleport beacon. A glowing blue sphere of pure energy. Captain Velker stared, if that beacon activates. His voice faded as fear tightened his throat. Every alien ship aimed their weapons at it, but their targeting systems glitched, their computers refused to lock on, their engines shook, their shields flickered. Admiral Karen whispered the words nobody wanted to hear. Humans are watching us. And they are ready. The Council had sent a warning. But now they understood the truth. The humans did not fear them. Not anymore. And the Council's control over the galaxy was already slipping away. The Council Armada waited at the border of human space like a giant iron wall, thousands of alien ships formed a thick barrier across the stars, their engines hummed, their weapons glowed, and their captains held their breath, but even with all this power, fear moved through their ships like cold wind. Captain Velker stood at the bridge of the dreadnought Vornak, staring at the strange blue beacon floating in front of the fleet. It looked harmless, a tiny sphere of light, but every instinct in his body screamed danger. Admiral Karen's voice echoed through the communication channel, do not touch the beacon, he warned, do not shoot it. But it's inside our territory now, Velker replied, trying to sound confident, but his hands were shaking, we must destroy it. Karen's voice grew sharp, if you shoot that beacon without understanding its purpose, you may trigger something worse. But the moment he finished speaking, the beacon pulsed once, brightening like a rising star. Alien ships across the Armada panicked, sensors overloaded, navigation systems glitched, and every monitor turned blue. For 3 long seconds, the fleet was blind. And in those 3 seconds, humanity made its move. Deep inside the Sol system, Earth's upgraded railguns aligned with mathematical precision. They were no longer simple weapons, they had become something new, something alive, something that understood the shape of space itself. Commander Arya gave the final order, fire. The railguns fired without sound, without light, but the effect was instant. A thin, invisible streak of hyper-accelerated metal shot through space at impossible speed. It bypassed shields, cut through gravity waves, and shredded through matter like it didn't exist. The first alien battleship never saw it coming. One moment it was intact, the next moment it was split cleanly in half, drifting silently as its engines faded. Captain Velker gasped, "What was that?" Before he could think, a second shot fired, then a third, then 10. Every shot hit with perfect accuracy, slicing massive alien ships apart as if a giant blade cut through them. Dozens of council vessels vanished in less than 5 seconds. Admiral Karen watched helplessly as the data streamed in. "This is not a weapon," he whispered, "this is art." Panic erupted across the Armada. Captains screamed for retreat, officers cried out as their ships exploded, some tried to activate hyperspace jump, but their engines refused. The teleport beacon was interfering with everything. Then something even worse appeared. Space bent behind the alien fleet, rippling like water, and from those ripples emerged human strike craft, small but deadly, teleporting directly into battle. They didn't fly in from a direction, they appeared. Captain Velker shouted, "Shields up." But his shield array flickered as one of the human strike craft teleported right in front of his bridge. A bright blue flash appeared, and then nothing. The craft vanished again, and Velker felt his stomach twist in fear. "They are testing us," he said, "they are not fighting seriously." He was right. Commander Arya was watching everything from Earth's control room. She had ordered the railguns to attack only the outer ships. She wanted the council leaders to understand the message clearly. Humans were not trying to win. Humans were showing what would happen if they fought for real. The alien dreadnoughts fired back, beams, plasma, missiles, rail slugs, everything they had, but nothing reached human space. Every weapon vanished into strange distortions that twisted space around the border. Project Gatewalker Energy, one human technician reported, "We can bend their attacks away from us." Commander Arya nodded, "Good." As the battle raged, Admiral Karen made one final attempt to control the situation. "All ships, stop firing," he ordered. "If we continue, we lose everything." But not all captains listened. Some were too proud, some too angry, some too afraid. One alien cruiser charged its superweapon, a massive particle beam that could destroy a small moon. Its captain shouted, "Deathworlders will not rule us," and fired. The beam shot forward like a burning river of light, but it bent sharply mid-space, curving away from human territory and slamming into a nearby council ship instead. Velker stared in horror as friendly ships exploded. "Our weapons are turning against us," he whispered. Another railgun volley from Earth hit a second alien ship, cutting off the cruiser's engines. More explosions rippled through the Armada, and ships began crashing into each other. The council had lost control. The fleet had lost discipline. And Earth wasn't even using full power yet. Suddenly, the teleport beacon pulsed again, brighter than before, and a message appeared on every alien screen. A human voice, calm and cold. "This is your last chance, withdraw." Captain Velker fell silent, his hands trembled. Admiral Karen closed his eyes, and Leader Vrax, watching from the council chamber, felt something he had never felt before. Hopelessness. Humans had defeated them without sending a real fleet, without launching an invasion, without stepping outside their own borders. The first clash was over. And the council knew the truth. They could not win. Not against humanity's new weapons. Not against teleportation. Not against Earth itself.